Welcome to episode 4, season 1 of the Highbury Squad with myself, Sophie, Amanda, and Mr. Super Kevin Campbell. Say hello, squad.
Hello, squad.
Hello, everybody. Highbury Squad, get stuck in.
Yes.
All right. Second game in, you guys. We knew we had 2 tough games to start, unlike Manchester City, who, by the way, are playing all 3 promoted teams from last season and all 3 promoted teams from this season in their first 6 games. We get Manchester City and Chelsea. We're going to talk about the Chelsea game. I do think there were some improvements from the City game. I think there were moments in that match we'll all agree that we could have been up 5-2 up at half time. Amanda, you were there. You went to the game. We're going to talk about player performances and stuff like that. It's a shame that we didn't get a point from that match, isn't it? Because we really deserved it.
Yeah.
Give us a quick nutshell and then we'll get stuck into some nuts and bolts here, Amanda.
Okay. Well, I think we definitely deserved a point, if not to win it. If someone would have had their scoring boots on, God, could have been 5-2 up at half time. And honestly, I just could not believe Aubameyang missed it. I just could not believe it. But the good thing is, I can see the improvement from the City game. I wasn't like you two about the City game. I didn't really see much there. I just saw a lot of mistakes, if I'm honest. But this, I was so impressed. Being there, I do see a different game when I'm there. I have to be honest. When you're live, I don't know why, you just see, we don't have any replays, nothing. I can't see the screen anyway. The atmosphere was brilliant. I don't know how it came across on TV, but it was so loud I had a headache in the end. It was all us singing. I never even heard them until they scored. How can I put it? 2-0 down. It was funny. Every time they scored, Arsenal fans just sat down and then got up again. It was hilarious because obviously we all stand up. 2-0 down under Arsene Wenger, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to say this, we would have lost that. We'd have been 4-0 down by half-time, or 4-0 after half-time, if you know what I mean.
Totally agree.
We would never have come back, and none of us believed we would. And I'm not with anyone I know. There's no one around me that knows me, and we were all talking, you know, and they all said, oh my God, 2-0, what's it going to be? Because that's what we're used to. You know, when we got the goal, which is fully deserved, I'm saying, okay, I thought, oh, 2-1 at the bridge. We've scored a goal, you know. This is good. When we went 2-0, we all went ballistic. It was just, it was just brilliant. It was just brilliant. And what we needed was that first half to continue because the momentum was with us. So when I tweeted at half time that the second half is ours, it wasn't really, unfortunately. We weren't really in the second half. It was all them. And you know what? Honestly, I knew this was going to come back to bite us on the bum. They're all singing about Eden Hazard going off to Real Madrid. And I'm looking at everyone going, you do realise he's going to come on and score, don't you? You do realise he's going to come on and do something. It's Eden Hazard. He's going to come on and do something. And what happens? He comes on. And
he changed the game. He changed the second half.
But to me, Hazard, you know, we bandy this world class around a lot. He is world class in my eyes. I think he's brilliant. I love him to pieces. I know he's a Chelsea player, but I can't help it. I think he's a brilliant footballer. And I knew it. I bloody knew it when Arsenal was singing about him, going, they're all taking the piss that he's going off to Real Madrid. And I thought, you know, shut up, because he's going to come on and it's going to be calmer. Anyway, very impressed, very proud I was. Gutted we lost. Wasn't annoyed with the team as such, because I was proud of their comeback and their fight and everything that I love. Honestly, I'm starting to love Emery. He's reminding me a little bit of Klopp, because you know I've got like a manager rival crush on Klopp. I love the way he's on the touchline. I was saying to the guy, let's just watch Emery for a minute. He was up and down, sat down, he couldn't sit down. He was so passionate. I just think, look, I've said 2 weeks ago, our season starts next Saturday. We don't do very well at the bridge anyway. And City are going to run away with this league. So I'm not panicking. I'm absolutely not panicking. I know we've got no points. I know we're the bottom half of the league. It's 2 games in. I'm not worried about stuff like that. Now it starts for me. Now we're gonna kick on. That's what I think.
Okay. So with that said, Kev, the last 20 minutes of the first half, like Amanda said, really good. It would have been great if we could have played another 20 minutes. We had them on the ropes. Second half, we come out and we're playing more of a wannabe counter-attacking strategy, if you like. I felt that as bad as some of the performances were in the second half, I felt like tactically maybe at halftime Emery was telling the team to play off that and be a bit more defensive. What was your assessment, and before we get into players, of the second half versus the last 20 minutes of the first half?
Last 20 minutes of the first half, obviously Arsenal showed fight, which is what everybody loved. Arsenal kind of went for it. We'd had a couple of chances before that with Aubameyang. You know, didn't bring his scoring boots with him. But having got back to 2 each, and we had some Mkhitaryan had a great chance, Iwobi had a great chance as well, and Aubameyang, you know, you just know momentum is key. Going into half-time at 2 each, as a player going in the dressing room, you don't ever want it to stop. You want to get back out in the second half and be right where you were in the first half, but football isn't like that. Don't forget Chelsea will adjust because they are on the ropes. So, you know, Sarri, he adjusted Chelsea's. And to be fair, I don't think Arsenal were really in great danger in the second half until the substitutions happened and Eden Hazard came on, because we know he's got so much quality. He's a difference maker. And when you got a player who can beat people, that's when the opposition are in trouble. And, you know, we run out of luck in the end, because the one time Hazard really got to the byline and cut it back, you know, they scored. And fair enough, you know, where they're chasing the game after that. And Oliver Giroud had a couple of chances and Petr Cech saved them. But, you know, I was infused. I thought there was some really good positives out the game. Emery showed that he isn't frightened to take people off who are not grafting for the team. I thought that was massive. And
Agree. That was huge. To make a sub at half time and to make those changes as quickly, and he proved it in the first game too, was so refreshing, wasn't it?
Oh, I love the sub thing. I love that.
And what that actually tells me, and I'm sure many Arsenal fans will realise this, is Emery will do what it takes to make the team better. If it's Ozil's got to come off, he's off. If Xhaka's got to come off, he's off. You know, he will make those decisions. So I think we're in good hands. Fair enough. Look, we haven't got a win. I'm okay with that. I'm not happy about it, but I'm okay with that. But I think we're in good hands right now.
All right. So Kev, you brought up two players who are very polarizing right now. Arsenal fans are indifferent about both of them. And I think this game was very indicative of the good and the bad of the one player and the other player who I just feel like right now just seems like a depressed human being. Okay, so let's take it first with Granit Xhaka.
Yeah.
I think Emery took him off mostly because of the yellow card. I don't think he took him off necessarily because he was playing as poorly as he was. I think he was worried that if we went down to 10 men, we wouldn't get a point out of this game. Okay. And as bad as Granit Xhaka can be, I felt like when there were parts of the second half where we actually, dare I say, missed his bite, missed his hold up, missed the way that he maybe sees the game a little bit differently with more experience than a Torreira or a Guendouzi. Okay. And I'm not saying that Guendouzi or Torreira played badly, because for me, Guendouzi is my number one player on the team sheet right now. And Torreira, with time, I think is going to be a really good pickup and a really great buy for us. But at least with Granit Xhaka, what I see is he gets pissed off. He gets frustrated. He got a yellow card because he was upset. He was upset because I feel like sometimes he's the scapegoat and he feels a little bit let down. Whereas with Ozil, I feel like when he was walking off the pitch when he was being substituted, I'm like, dude, can you take any more time? Can you look any more depressed? I'm actually worried about Ozil as a human being, let alone a footballer. He seems very up and down to me. He seems to have a personality that may be, be a little depressed. I don't know what it is, but you can't be earning 300 grand a week, playing for Arsenal Football Club, be a World Cup winner, and be as sullen as he is on occasion.
Yeah, but look, I don't even like to bring money into it because whoever earns what earns it. And he seems fine to me. It's just that he's not playing well. That's it. When you're not playing well, you're not going to be happy. And the manager, from what I see, obviously he backs him, he picks him for the team. But if he's not doing it, he's going to change it. And another player that I think has gone unnoticed, I thought Alex Iwobi was first class yesterday. I really think he was first class yesterday. And not many people say anything about him. And I thought he looked
bigger. He looked bigger as well. He looked like he shot up. He looked bigger. He looked leaner, stronger, for sure. I mean, and I think that he took his chance really super well. But what I'm trying to say with Ozil, I'm not trying to bring up the money, Kev. I'm trying to bring up the fact that when you are, that was a Twitter question that we just received, which Amanda will read out in a little bit. But what I'm saying is that he just doesn't seem happy. Like, I know he's come off a really bad summer and stuff like that. But when you have the world at your feet the way he does, Amanda, he just doesn't seem to do himself any favours. He was so bad in that game against Chelsea yesterday. He broke down plays and gave the ball away so many times. And Aubameyang, I'm going to forgive him because I'm thinking, you know what? As Akil, one of our favourite listeners, came and said, he's the kind of guy that could get a hat-trick against West Ham. I'm not going to drop him, but I'm dropping Ozil for the next game, Amanda.
Are you? Okay. Oh, God, this Ozil stuff. Look, he's having a bad couple of games. I don't think
it's not a bad couple of games.
Let me finish. Be quiet, young lady. You've gone on about Ozil. Let me come back with a few other things, okay? Look, the way he is not how some people like with the jumping around and the body language, yeah? All I'm gonna say is, Emery decided it wasn't working and he changed him. I'm proud of that. You know how much I love Ozil. I love the fact that it doesn't matter who you are and what you are, and you're off that pitch. Wenger never did that. I'm not here to bash Wenger about anything. I'm just saying. So we've got to get used to the fact that if Xhaka, who I don't even know, honestly, don't know what he's doing on the pitch. I just don't get what he brings to us. I don't agree with the second half. I really don't. And I'd also like to point out that there seems to be an agenda, I'm not saying you, Soph, about Ozil all the time. No one, but I did get home late last night, spoke about the fact that Lacazette turned round in midfield, gave the ball into a dangerous area, and they scored from it. Now, where is anyone talking about that? That is a disgraceful piece of play. And if Kevin Campbell ever did that, I'm going to slap him. You would never, ever do that. But
Amanda, can I just interject there a second?
I obviously wouldn't slap you, Kevin. You know what I mean.
Lacazette gave the ball away, but Chelsea didn't score straight away.
Oh, they scored from it, Kevin.
There was enough players behind the ball.
Kevin, they wouldn't have scored if that ball wasn't given to him there, and Torreira lost it as well.
All goals are mistakes.
Oh, I know, but come on, you don't expect a forward to do that. We all went ballistic, and then I watched it on Match of the Day, and they did as well. My point is this, I love Lacazette. I've got no issue with him. I want him to start every game with Aubameyang. I really do. I felt like he gave us some pace and energy. But what I'm saying is, let's just leave the Xhaka, the Ozil alone and it's 2 games in against two sides we were never going to beat. So
I'm not going to leave Ozil alone when he earns 300 grand a week.
Here it comes.
He's been phoning it in. No, wait. He's been listen, I don't care if you earn 50 grand a week or 300 grand a week, okay? Look at Guendouzi. Kev, I think Guendouzi is actually making Ozil look worse than he did last season in his bad games. Why? The kid doesn't hide. The kid makes mistakes, but he takes risks and he goes back in and he tries. 2 tackles, amazing tackles. The Hazard that was on the break in the second half, the fact that he tracked back the way he did and he made that tackle. And then when Kante went free into the penalty box, Guendouzi didn't even make a tackle. It was just his positioning and his movement, the way he hustled. And you know me, Amanda, I have not been on Ozil's case. But I have been this season. Why? Because this 19-year-old kid that's come into the squad looks hungry, like he wants to own the team and be captain one day. And Mr. Ozil, who's earning 300 grand a week, is phoning it in. Right. I do think we need to look at this. And I do think that he should be dropped. And I do think that he is a shadow of the player that he knows to be when he's playing against teams like Ludogorets and lighting it up. Why can't he do that against United and Chelsea and City? Why? Why can't he?
Right, let's stop going on about his money and Guendouzi's, how do you even say his name? Guendouzi's age, okay? Guendouzi has come in. As you know, for the first half an hour of the first game against City, I didn't rate him at all. I thought he was out of his depth and I got lambasted for that, but people didn't realise I did it after 30 minutes, not the whole game. Do I think he's got potential? Absolutely. Do I think he was brilliant yesterday? I do. I thought he was everywhere. That's his job. That is not Ozil's job. I'm sorry, it's not. And this is the whole problem. We need to calm down with forget the money. They're all on decent money. I know he's on 350 grand because you keep saying it. Emery has to find the system that works. I personally don't think Mickey is playing in the right position either. But we have to wait and see. This is what I'm saying about the season starting on Saturday. You can't play Man City and know what's going to happen. Look what happened today. 6-1. It's going to be... I can't even talk about City. We will do the podcast after West Ham, okay? And we will talk about that. That's all I'm saying.
Amanda, okay. So Guendouzi doing his job, crashing into tackles, getting on the ball deep. So did Ozil do his job? Did Xhaka do their job?
No, they didn't, Kev, and that's why they were taken off. I'm not saying they did.
But that's what Sophie's saying.
But Guendouzi wasn't substituted because he was doing his job. Ozil's had a bad couple of games. I'm not denying that. So Xhaka. I don't know what Xhaka's doing in our team. I know I've always said that.
We're not trying to dig people out, but what we're saying is Unai Emery has set a team up to win the games. Now, everyone's got to do their job.
Absolutely. And if you don't, you're substituted, Kevin. They were. So my point is this. If you didn't do your job, you'd have been substituted.
And it happened a good few times, let me say.
I'm sure. But what I'm saying is this. I'm not sitting here saying he's had a good couple of games. I'm not saying that. But we're at the beginning of the season with a new manager. Maybe he's going through a bad patch. I don't know. But we look at Iwobi last season. He wasn't great. And you were right. He was yesterday. I was very impressed with him. And people going on about Petr Cech. He saved us in both these games. Honestly, save after save yesterday. But all I'm saying is we just need to give it time. We've got a long way to go. I'm not panicking one bit about any of them. He is right, Emery. If Ozil is not doing his job, you get him off the pitch. I don't care what time it is. And that's what I love about our new manager. It doesn't matter what name you are, if you are not doing it. And I will say to you, and I said this to you on Twitter this week, Guendouzi has got massive potential. Let's just not go overboard here. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I did this with Denilson. I thought Denilson was going to be the next God knows what.
I don't think anyone's going overboard.
Oh, they are.
I think it's glaring. It's glaring. No, you know why? And I think Kev will back me up here. It's because of the effort he's putting in. He's showing up all these other players who've been in the team for how many seasons?
Yeah, but
He's showing them up.
Effort can also lead to mistakes. That's not my point here. My point is this. When I did that tweet, I had over 200 responses and at least 180 were having a go at me. Don't tell me they're not bigging him up. They are. They think he's the next God knows what. All I'm saying is it is. He played much better yesterday than he did against City. Definitely. And I love the fact that when Aubameyang missed from his beautiful ball to him, he punched that floor. That's what we want to see. We want that all through. And what you're saying is Ozil doesn't give you that. He's not that sort of character. You're not going to get it. Okay.
None of them do. Only Monreal is the only other player that shows any passion and fight. Listen.
I'll tell you what I saw yesterday. Mustafi did that. Off the ball, he was going a bit nuts at a few people.
He did yesterday.
Yeah.
He did. And he's been much better, and this is where we're showing coaching up. All right, I want to move on real quick here because there's so many talking points about the Chelsea game, and we still got to get through our Twitter questions, some grades and predictions about West Ham. All right, Gooners. I love this next guy who is our very special guest today. I've been talking football with him for a number of years now. He is a game changer, trailblazer. Call him what you want. He revolutionized baseball with his Moneyball concept. He's had a film made after him. I mean, who gets Brad Pitt to play him in his life story, right? Billy really super lucked out on that one. And he's now part owner of Barnsley, and he will correct me if I pronounce this incorrectly, AZ Alkmaar in the Eredivisie, the Dutch league. Welcome to the show, secret gooner and all-around sports guru, Mr. Billy Beane.
Woo! We're honoured.
Billy!
Oh, hey everyone! Thanks for having me on. And it's just after a tough match for the Gooners yesterday. But no, it's great to be on. And as you said, Sophie, we've been friends for a while, and good to talk football again.
Awesome. So, did you watch the game yesterday, Billy?
You know, I actually missed the second half. I had to head over to our own ball game, but I saw the first half, which was a strange first half because the first 35 minutes. It was not good. And then literally the last 10 minutes of the half were spectacular. And so, when I left, I was following it online, as I was heading over to our own ball game. But, I mean, listen, tough 2 matches to open up the season, but it sure would have been nice to get 3 points out of one of them.
Definitely. And you missed the worst part of the game because the second half things did fall apart a little bit. But seeing as you did watch a little bit of that first half, and someone who's known Mr. Wenger for a number of years and Mr. Gazidis as well, you've been closely tied to the club. These are also not only kind of peers but friends of yours too. What do you think about the Unai Emery start? 22 years, you're a general manager yourself of the Oakland A's, 22 years of a regime. It's not going to happen overnight, is it?
No, listen, it's absolutely not. I mean, you're talking about an institution, not just in the Premier League, but in sports. I mean, how many people in that position or in that type of position in any sport last that long? It's a remarkable run, and yeah, there are always going to be some growing pains. And as I just mentioned, you can't think of literally 2 tougher ways to open up the season. You know, Manchester City and then going across town to play Chelsea. So, you know, it's tough when you're following up to somebody like Wenger, and it's also tough when you're opening up with arguably the best team in the world at home, and then followed up again like Chelsea. So, but things, like you said, it's a great, you know, I'm a fan of the club, and as you mentioned, I've had the opportunity to meet Ivan and Arsene over the years, and a tremendous amount of respect for that entire business and the club. And I've said it publicly. It's a wonderful football club, wonderful sports team, and like I said, I'm proud to follow it, and they'll be fine.
So, Billy, do you think it's naive of me as an Arsenal fan, after I watched the Manchester United-Brighton game this morning, as an Arsenal fan, I come away from our first 2 games and say exactly what you said, playing the best team in the world, Manchester City potentially, Chelsea, who I think have been underestimated a little bit as we go into this new season. It's still the same team that won the league 2 years ago. And when I see Man United, I'm thinking, if I'm a Man United fan, I don't feel there's any hope because I don't feel like Mourinho's adaptable or will change things. Whereas with Unai Emery, he's already tried to make enhancements and change things since the first game. Do you feel like it's naive of me to think that there is hope and that we will evolve as a team, and as opposed to Manchester United, who under Mourinho will probably just have this type of season again?
Well, yeah, and listen, you know, you're talking about the great thing about the EPL is the drama that comes with every week, and with just the most recent result, people have a tendency, and that's what I love about it. I'm kind of glad that I don't have to deal with it on a weekly basis, but there's so much drama, and people have a tendency sort of to attach permanence to the last the last outcome, which is really not I think the proper way to look at it, even as it applies to Manchester United. I watched the match this morning as well and saw the entire match, and obviously a surprising outcome and a great match for Brighton too, especially, fans and everyone there. It looked like they were having a great time. But, it's such a long season. It's hard to draw conclusions. Again, me personally, I'm following Arsenal. I just have such a faith in the way they do things, despite the fact that they're losing Arsenal. There's just a very disciplined process. And I think you have to say the same thing about Manchester United, despite the fact that, they've had some managerial changes, since Sir Alex left. So these are two great clubs that at the end of the day are all going to be, fighting in that top six. The great thing about the league this year is there are probably six really strong teams. I think Liverpool, especially with De Bruyne going down, I think Liverpool it's just been a marvelous story the last couple of years. And I think they're going to push, if again, it depends on if they have the depth or not, but I think they're going to make a push. I think everything they've done the last 2 years has been almost perfect, and with Klopp at the running the helm, it's going to be a lot of fun to see what they do as well. And I'm a fan of Liverpool in the sense that I know John Henry and the owners there pretty well, so it's been Peter Moore who's there as well. So it's fun watching. It's fun watching sports teams do things right, and I'm a big admirer of a lot of clubs over there, but in particular Arsenal.
Billy, can I just ask you a question? You've just said about sports clubs doing right. There's a lot of hysteria over here at the moment about Kroenke buying our club completely and all the shareholders having forcibly to sell their shares. I'm not a fan of his. I don't want him owning my club. I've been going there over 45 years. And my dad, many more years over that. And it was always a community club. It was always fan-based and everything. There's a lot of hysteria here. We don't know how it's going to go, obviously, because it's just been announced. First of all, I don't know if you mix in the same circles as him over there. And if you do, what is he like? And will he want Arsenal to succeed and win trophies, or is it just about the investment for him?
Well, let me give you a little different viewpoint here as someone who's been involved with the sports team for a long time, and it maybe a different way of looking at things. One of the advantages we had here in Oakland is we never had a lot of money or a lot of resources, but the one thing, the first owner, the one that put me in the position to make the decisions was, he said, listen, you don't have a lot. Here's your budget. We're not going to get involved with what you do. You can sort of make the decisions as long as you sort of color within the lines, and that the lines are making sure you stay within the budget. So we had a lot of autonomy, despite having very little money, to really do what we wanted to do, which is I think any sports executive will tell you that, or any executive period, as long as you're given the freedom to do what you think is best, it's really a great spot to work on. And when I over here, sometimes in the States, owners who get too involved, there's a lot of criticism and things don't turn out necessarily right when they let the people they hire do their jobs. You look at one of the great sports teams in all the world, the New England Patriots. Robert Kraft hires one of the best coaches of all time, Bill Belichick, and lets him run the football team. And essentially you have, a dynasty. And so the fact that, an owner in any sport, if he I'm telling you as an executive, he says, hey, listen, here's what you got to work with. I'm going to stay out of the way. In many cases, that usually has a good outcome. So, so I might take a different viewpoint. And again, I don't know Mr. Kroenke personally, but again, I'm a big admirer of the way he runs businesses. I think in the end, I can tell you as an executive, not, really having somebody who lets you do your job it ultimately leads to the most consistent success. And I think if you look at some of the great teams in all the sports, I'm going to speak for the States, you'll find that to be the case. And even going back to Manchester United, Sir Alex Ferguson got to run Manchester United without a lot of, people telling him, above what to do. So that's what he's good at. So maybe that's a different way of looking at it, as opposed to, having the owner make decisions and get involved on a daily basis. Sometimes the outcomes aren't what you want to be. And again, looking from afar, the idea that somebody lets really smart people like, Arsene Wenger and Ivan Gazidis run their team, to me, if I owned a team and like you said, if I owned a National Football League team, I'm not an expert in National Football League, so I'd want to hire the best manager and best general manager and leave them alone and let them do their job. So maybe that's a different way of looking at it, and that's the way I kind of see it from over here.
Okay, just one other thing. You mentioned that you're friends with Arsene Wenger, and you're an Arsenal fan. So when it was coming towards last season and he was going to re-sign, and then obviously, the season before, can you stay neutral in your thoughts, or is it because he's a friend of yours that you would want him to re-sign and stay with us? Or was it more that you looked at a fan and thought, yeah, I want him to sign, but how did you view that?
Well, I'm more of an acquaintance with Ars. I've had the opportunity to meet him, and to say that we're in regular contact probably wouldn't be accurate. But again, I'd admire I've had the opportunity to spend some time with him, and admired him more after spending time with him. But I think the shame at the end was, I think it might have been one of my old managers and a Hall of Fame baseball manager here, maybe Tony La Russa, who said it, is that no matter what, an executive or a coach, sometimes there's a certain shelf life they may have, and then it's kind of time to move on. And there's very rare that there's the coach or the manager, even if they're successful, can stay in one spot more than a decade. It's just, people all of a sudden, I kind of joke with Brian Cashman, the general manager of the New York Yankees. We've both been doing the job 21 years, and we kind of kid after, well, people only remember the things you didn't do well, and they forget all the things you did well. And listen, if you do a job for 21 years, even if you're really good at it, there's going to be a lot of mistakes you make. It's just that's what happens over time. And I think I was most disappointed with the narrative at the end was people were sort of forgetting, really how amazingly consistent that club had been over a 20-year period to do what they did up until the end with the Champions League. I don't know how many years, the 20 years, 19 years in a row, is just an amazing amount of consistency in a very, very competitive league. So I wasn't really voting one way or the other. I admire of the business. I ultimately felt like the outcome, whenever it was obviously people on the inside and certainly Mr. Wenger felt like that was the best thing to do. So I wasn't rooting one way or the other. I just was a little disappointed that the narrative seemed to remember the worst times and not all the great times that happened while he was there.
All right, Billy.
Yes.
Hi, it's Kev Campbell here. Listen, really appreciate your time. I've got a question for you regarding Barnsley and stats. Obviously, people who know you or people would have seen Moneyball think Moneyball was a fantastic film. But the question is, do stats lie depending on the sport? And will you implement some of that thinking into the Barnsley project?
Excuse me 1 second. I got my kids running around the house here, but yeah, I'm getting ready to friends take them over the game. But anyway, sorry, Kevin, it interrupted there. But it was well, first of all, I think the term stat is probably something. I think when we first started in baseball, stat was ultimately the only thing we had to work with, and a stat is really a result. And given technology and the way we have of measuring things right now, I think if you look at most teams in sports who are using analytics to help drive their decisions, they're actually measuring process because we have so many ways of collecting data and information. And again, statistics are results, and they're not. Sometimes those results can be deceiving. Whereas, again, if you're measuring process and making decisions on process, you probably have a more consistent outcome. And to answer your question is, listen, I think, the fact that we have such large amounts of data available to us in all sports that we can now collect and use, it's really not unlike any other businesses. Every major business in the world today is learning how to manage these large amounts of data and put it into their decision-making process to hopefully become more consistent. And the idea that you would ignore that, I think you'll find yourself far behind. So, and I don't think football is going to be any different. I don't think it's any different now. I think there's some clubs, they may not be out there broadcasting it, but that are making decisions based on data and information and staying away from gut feel and intuitive decisions. And one club I can think of off the top of my head, and I would bet the ranch that they are, is Liverpool. You can tell by their signings that there's a lot of analytics involved with them, and other clubs like Brentford in the championship,
yes.
It's obvious that it's obvious that, data and analytics are, again, driving their decisions. And I don't think, and genie's out of the bottle. I don't think it's going to go away. I think it's only become more and more important, and teams that aren't doing it are going to be left behind.
So can the Barnsley fans get a bit excited if they're going to be able to utilize some of this analytical mindset that you can bring to the table?
Well, I guess in one sense, I'm still pretty wrapped up in my day job. Listen, I'm really excited to be a part of the investor group with Barnsley, but on the day-to-day operations, I haven't been as involved. Though, maybe somewhere down the road that'd be the case. Again, my day job with the A's keeps me pretty busy. I've been a little more involved because I've been with the club a little longer as at Alkmaar and in Holland, and a good friend of mine asked me to help him out with starting to create, data and analytics team over there 4 years ago, and it's we think we've had some success with it, and I've been proud to be a part of that and the success that club's had over there over the course of the last few years. But in Barnsley right now, more of an investor, and again, maybe somewhere down the road, but right now, like I said, the Oakland A's keeps me real busy, and hopefully, we're able to finish out what has turned out to be a pretty exciting season for us.
Well, I wish the Oakland A's very well.
Well,
thank you. Yeah, we need it.
You're listening to the Highbury Squad with Mr. Billy Beane, our guest today, the general manager of the Oakland A's. And Billy, don't wish him too well, Kev, because he smacked our Angels last week. Billy was very kind enough to get us some tickets for the game. And wow, your boys are looking good. I know you're going to run off in a few minutes, Billy, but I'm kind of equating you to, dare I say, and I don't want to use them as an example, but you're a little Tottenham this year, you're a little Arsenal, you're a little hybrid. You've got the Yankees and the Red Sox spending $1 gazillion once again. You've managed to assemble a team. I think it's $79 million that you've kind of spent, but yet you're right up there. You face the Astros. This is a really massive series coming up. You've got the Boston Red Sox, who are super red hot. Mr. John Henry had offered you a job a few years ago. Could the Red Sox and Liverpool win this season? I mean, your A's are going to have something to say about that. You guys are pretty magic and you're getting a lot of lauding right now. What are your thoughts on that in terms of where your A's are going and maybe a Red Sox Liverpool double whammy for Mr. Henry?
Yeah, well, you know what? In all the years, Tom Werner and John Henry have owned the club and the Fenway Sports Group. This is probably the time where the Red Sox and Liverpool both, you can honestly say that they both have a chance. I mean, the Red Sox, and I don't think I'm saying anything that anyone would disagree with, are probably the best team in baseball right now. They're on almost a historic run right now themselves. They have, I think, a chance to either tie or come one short of the all-time wins record. So they certainly have a chance. And as I said earlier, I think particularly with De Bruyne going down for a couple months, I think that's going to be an opportunity. I thought Liverpool was going to push them a little bit. But I do think they both have a shot, and hopefully we can make that not the case here in baseball. But it would be fun again to. Like I said, it's exciting when Liverpool's good. It just seems like it's supposed to be that way, for some reason. I think they bring a certain cachet to the league, and it's as I root for Arsenal, it's still fun to see Liverpool do well. But again, we hope we'll stop the Red Sox and get an opportunity to do that. But it is a pretty unique time, and John Henry and Tom Werner have figured out how to run sports teams. They do a really, really good job, and they've had a lot of success over here. And I think, as you've seen in the last decade, where they've taken Liverpool, they know what they're doing as owners. And as I said, it's probably good for the sport.
Billy, I know you haven't got long left with us, but I just want to talk about something. I haven't seen the film Moneyball, but I'm going to watch it now. What was it like having Brad Pitt play you? Because I've got a little soft spot for him, obviously.
Natch.
The first thing you got to remember when they're going through the process. Well, when they say they're going to make a movie, you're kind of holding your breath as to who's actually going to play you, right? So I'll just say when they said it was going to be Brad Pitt, I kind of exhaled, and then my wife looked at me, and then my wife looked at me extremely disappointed that looking like, how could Brad Pitt be playing you? So. But I always take the opportunity to say this. Probably the greatest thing about the experience was the opportunity to get to know him. He's a wonderful person. He's smart as heck. He's about as down to earth as you can imagine.
Aww.
Funny, intuitive, and just a really just all around good guy. And like I said, it was sort of an honor to have him play me. And again, he's about as nice a person, and he's really, really funny. And so I felt pretty lucky.
If you ever come to England and go and watch Barnsley and bring Brad Pitt, can I come with you? All of a sudden, Barnsley are going to be my second team.
Yeah. You know, he actually spends quite a bit of time over there, so it probably wouldn't be that tough to get him over. And again, he's about as down to earth as it comes. He'd probably
Billy,
go.
you can come and sit with me at the Emirates and Brad Pitt. Don't worry, I've got 2 spare tickets. It's not a problem. I can sort that.
I love the hustle, Amanda. I love the hustle here.
Well, I will pass that along. I'll pass that message along, and I'll assume it's because you want me going with you as opposed to Brad. I'll just pretend like that's the reason.
That's what I'm thinking. Well, listen, Billy, we know you have to get to the game, and here's a scoop. Can we get you on again and do like a solid hour talking football? We'll line it up with your schedule, get Super Kevin Campbell, getting into some tactics and strategy with you as well. Can we do that in a couple months and get you back on?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It'd be a blast. I love doing it. Yeah, absolutely. And then at that point, maybe the A's will have a good story to tell, and we'll be knee-deep in the middle of the season. And then we can really get emotional about where the Gooners are, right?
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
We'll let you get through the baseball season, and then we'll hook up and have another conversation. But in the meantime, we're going to get you out on this one. Do Arsenal finish top 4 this season?
Wow. Okay. We're going to get to revisit this because you promised I'll be on, and it'll be a time we'll have a better idea. If they don't, I don't think it will be necessarily. I think it will be more because the league is so competitive up at the top. I think it'll be close, is what I think. And I don't necessarily think that if they, for some reason came in 5th, that doesn't mean that they're not headed in the right direction, because I do ultimately think they're going to be a consistent top 4 club every year. I just think more than anything, it's a credit to how good the other clubs are around them. So that's a kind of a cop-out, and we can check back and when we got plenty of season left. But listen, they're going to be fine. It's a great club and smart people, well run. And if they're not there this year, they'll certainly be there in the future.
All right, wicked awesome, Billy, mate. I love and adore you. Yeah, no. I'm going to it's only 2 games in, so that's a pretty good answer. And those kind of questions are really difficult at this time of year too. So. Good luck to the Oakland A's today. Even though I'm an Angels fan, if I would love anyone to win the World Series other than the Angels, it would be your Oakland A's.
Well, thanks for having me on, and we'll check back in a couple months.
Definitely, mate. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Billy.
All right. See you, man. See you.
Thank you, Billy. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Kev, I had an epiphany last night. Do you want to hear about it?
Go on.
All right.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
So Hector Bellerin, I've been watching him really closely, Kev, in the last couple of games.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, when this guy goes forward, he's a threat. When he has to defend, he's a liability. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking to myself, if I had Harry Redknapp's number, I would have phoned him and I would have said, hey, Harry, you know when you switch Bale from a left back to a midfielder, what was your thinking behind that? And also, Kev, I'm actually thinking that Emery should switch Bellerin's position completely, because I think with his pace and his precision, and he did have some great moments going forward in that Chelsea match. He made some really exquisite passes. Do you think I'm going crazy, or do you think that I'm Sophie Einstein here and I could potentially have resolved the Bellerin pickle?
Well, you're not Sophie Einstein. Let's put it that way.
Come on!
You're not Sophie Einstein. And let me tell you why. What we've seen from Bellerin, we've known all along. Going forward, he's fine. But going forward from a right back is different to being, I don't know where you're going to play, where else you're going to play him, but being higher up the pitch would be totally alien to Hector Bellerin.
Do you really think, as a footballer, do you think it would be alien to him, considering he plays that wing-back role as well as a traditional right-back role? Would it be that alien to him if he was on the right flank?
Yeah, but even as a wing-back, does he get exposed? Yes or no? He gets exposed, so he'll be good going forward, and he won't be good defending. Okay? So where are you going to move him from right back to? Please tell me. Now, here's the key. As a right back, what's your first thing you got to be good at? Is it attack or defense?
In the traditional sense, you got to be good at defending.
Right. So maybe this is just a question for you two ladies. If Hector Bellerin was a better defender, maybe we don't concede some of the goals that we concede. And
or if his support, like Mkhitaryan, who missed that Pedro goal, right? Would you agree that when Bellerin moved up, Mkhitaryan didn't move back into the hole and therefore he was exposed and he didn't get that support?
Well, you can say, did Bellerin instruct Mkhitaryan? Because it's all about communication. And when you're the last defender at the back, you've got to control the guy in front of you. You've got to give him the correct information. But to me, it seems like Hector Bellerin doesn't communicate as well as he should. That's just what I see. I mean, I was lucky enough. I played in front of Lee Dixon certain times. And Lee Dixon was always talking to me, and he made life easy. But it just seemed to me Chelsea kept playing down that side because they knew they could get in.
So my point do you feel like you've kind of made my point in that if Bellerin was adopted the same way that Harry Redknapp changed Gareth Bale's position in the Tottenham team back in the day, and then he led on to become one of the most prolific attacking players in world football, in terms of Bellerin not being as great in defence, but he's been so good going forward, and I felt that about him over the last year or so. Don't you think he could fulfill that role? And when you look at who we have to play on the flanks right now, it may be a risk, but isn't it a calculated risk to take?
No. I don't see Hector Bellerin. Okay, what position are you going to play him in, for one? And playing from right back, I mean, Guendouzi gave him a delicious pass which cut out the whole back four, but he's doing that from right back. He's running from right back so he can see all the pitch. Whenever the defence is stacked up, I don't see Hector Bellerin being able to do what a Gareth Bale could do, because I don't think he's skillful enough. I don't think his crossing is good enough. When he gets put in behind and he could pull balls back, if he can't do that, it's no point him even being in the team.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, listen, Amanda, I think it should be a poll question tomorrow, because I hear what Kevin's saying. I
don't think many are going to agree with you, I'm afraid. I don't normally agree with Kevin, but I do. I don't honestly, and again, I'm being a bit more like a fan, but I don't think he should be in the team, to be honest. I think
I'd play Lichtsteiner. Lichtsteiner's got to start the next
He's a liability, Bellerin, at the moment. I don't actually know what's going on with him. And honestly, each season he seems to be getting worse. And I'm gutted, because when he joined us, he was, I mean, not world class, but he was phenomenal. I was distraught when he used to be out the team. Now, I agree with you. What's his name? Lichtsteiner.
Lichtsteiner.
Yeah. Did you know your mate, Mavropanos, was in the crowd with us?
Taking pictures with people. He was watching with the fan. I love him. He was taking pictures with everyone. And listen, I'll tell you something, with our centre backs, the way they're playing, I don't know what he's seeing with Mavropanos in training and stuff like that, but that boy's going to make an appearance at some point. All right. That was an amazing weekend. We got to move on. Time is running out.
But I need to ask you something quickly. I want to know who you blame, you two, for Pedro on the first goal. Who was supposed to be picking up Pedro? Kev?
Who was supposed to be picking up? Let's have it right. Pedro was standing in an offside position. He was way offside. Okay?
Was it?
Now, Yeah,
At the start of the movie was, yeah.
At the start of the movie.
Oh, I wasn't watching that part.
The ball went
yeah.
to the other side.
Yeah, okay.
That's when he's not offside. It's only when the ball comes in that's when they judge. So it's difficult to actually pick him up. It is really difficult to pick him up. What's got to happen is, because there's no pressure on the ball, we've got to either stop it at source, or we've got to be able to deal with the ball over the top better. And who got in? It was the fullback, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. So, and it was on Bellerin's side again. So, is it Bellerin or is it Mkhitaryan? It's a combo. It's a combination of the two, because Willian got in all the time. They kept getting in all the time down that side, all the time. So it is the right-hand guy, the guys on the right-hand side of the pitch, who's got to deal with it, and we just couldn't deal with it.
You are listening to the Highbury Squad with Princess Guna, Soccer Diva, and one Kevin Campbell. You can find us all on Twitter. You can also find us across Facebook and SoundCloud and YouTube. Our iTunes will be up in the next week. We have submitted, and we should be good to go. And I know a lot of you have been asking about our Acast as well. So be patient with us, but all of the platforms will be up and running in the next week or so. And it's that time of week where we want to socialize. Let's answer your Twitter questions.
Okay, so it's really lovely that you send us questions to the pod, and we've had some come in. David at VinGenius with a J said, I have a question I'd like you to discuss. Do you think that playing Ramsey with attacking freedom like he is allowed to do for Wales would give us more attacking penetration? Is he a good alternative to Ozil as a straight swap? Sophie?
Ooh, I felt that yesterday, if Ramsey had started that game, the way he loves to run off from midfield through to the attack, I think he would have terrorized the Chelsea defense a little bit, because we saw their vulnerabilities. And I honestly thought to myself, wow, if there's a game, and he likes a little goal against Chelsea, especially in the cup, I felt that he was somebody who could have really had an impact early. And yes, it's the way that we know him to be best, and that's when he excels. And right now, if there's an Ozil who isn't playing as well, why not start with Rambo, who also has a tendency to get more goals than Ozil? I don't know, Kev, do you agree?
No, I don't, I think. No, listen, I
love it.
I love it.
I say what I see. I say what I see.
I say what I see, yeah.
And let's be honest, after the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes, we were getting battered. And then the team showed the fight, and we were fine after that. Like we're saying, we wanted the half to go on, because Chelsea couldn't handle Arsenal. They just couldn't handle. Arsenal players were coming from everywhere. There was like 5 players in the box anytime we got the ball in. So whether Ramsey would have made a difference or not, I thought we played as well as we've played in a long while away from home, especially at the bridge.
Okay. All right. Well, that's
all right. Well, yeah, 6-1, half a dozen of the other, fine.
All right. Walter Welbeck at, hold on a second, he's a friend of the pod, bless him, at AFACTGunner007. Why are we having a defensive crisis when we have Steve Bold as a coach? Kev.
Yeah, I've got to answer this.
You do.
I've got to answer this. Because Steve Bold's a coach doesn't mean that we're not going through a transitional period. Now, Unai Emery is the coach, he's the head coach, and Steve Bold is an assistant coach. Now, it's Unai Emery's system that is getting implemented, not George Graham's Arsenal back four that is being implemented in this. You could tell by the way Arsenal are defending, even playing out from the back, is different. So What Steve Bold, you can't put that on Steve Bold. Steve Bold has to adhere to what Unai Emery wants to implement. So that's the reason why there might be some transitional period, and we're going through a little bit of a tough time right now because it's not Steve Bold's system, it's Unai Emery's system.
And it wasn't Steve Bold's system when he was assisting Arsene Wenger for how many seasons?
Yes, Sophie.
He can't have the balls to stand up and say in training, you know what? When I played with Adams and Keown, and when we were in the best back four this country has ever seen, he can't have a voice. He doesn't have the balls to stand up and say something. Yeah, okay, you've got to follow what your boss wants and what your boss wants to do. But Unai is coming into a club where he has no history and he has no pedigree. And Steve Bold could have pulled him aside and said, you know what, let me work with them. Let me work with them. If there's one person, and I know, Kev, and I say this with respect because I know that Steve Bold's your boy and stuff like that, but he's been at the club for how many years and we've been shit in defence, to be quite frank. And I think it's about time that we got some new blood in training our defence. And I will totally respect Unai Emery if he makes those changes, because you can't be at the club that long and have no impact and our defence still be this crap 2 games in.
Yeah, but Sophie, it doesn't work. I don't know how you think it works, but it doesn't work like that. Let me just tell you this.
I understand that he may not have the power. No,
hold on. Let me finish. Could you remember when Arsenal went to Manchester City and beat Man City 2-0 a few seasons back?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
Right. Arsenal, for once, everyone said that's the blueprint.
Yeah.
That is the blueprint. We beat them convincingly. We kept a clean sheet, and everybody knew their positions. Steve Bold had taken the back four, five with the 2 midfielders and worked on it all week. They got the right result. What happened after that? He wasn't allowed to continue doing it. So it's not Steve Bold can only do what the manager wants him to do. That's what
I totally understand that, and that's how it works at most clubs. Okay. No, but when you see how Pep works with his coaches and his teams, and I've seen them train here in LA and stuff like that too. Of course, it's Pep's vision. It's going to be Pep at the end of the day. But as a coach, as someone who has the ear of the manager, you have to be a bit more vocal. And I feel like Steve Bold's been phoning his job in.
So, Sophie, let me tell you something. Do you reckon if one of them coaches don't do it the way Pep wants, they'll be there?
No,
ultimately, that's what you're saying. Ultimately, that's what you're saying.
I'm not saying. I'm saying that. Look, did you see the way Pep hugged Arteta at the end of the Huddersfield match?
Yes.
It was a hug as if to say, "Well done, son." Whatever it was Arteta did in those moments and it felt like it was a hug to say, "Well done."
Yeah, but he's implementing what Pep wants.
He's also infusing his personality and a bit of character and a bit of passion to the players.
He's doing what
That's what I'm asking.
But he's doing what he wants. Unai Emery wants it done his way. If Steve Bold does it Unai Emery's way, he's got to do it his way. If he wants to do something else, get out and I'll get someone else in.
Okay, can we just find a way to defend and call it quits? Can someone find a way for us to be able to defend better? And I'm on board with whoever makes that happen.
All right.
How about that?
Like, listen, you two. Listen, you two, right? What Sophie's saying is, how many years is this going to go on? And what Kev's saying is, you've got to give him a chance now because he's under Emery. He's not under Wenger. My point is this, Kevin, and we had this conversation years and years and years. We haven't been able to defend what is Steve Bold doing. I know what you're saying. He can only do what the manager wants him to do. But then why stay? This is my point. If you love the club that much and you were a brilliant defender for Arsenal, how could you let your pride, let's talk about money in a second, but what he's saying as well is, Sophie, is the fact that we're 2 games in, the defence is still shocking, but we've got to wait and see because now it's Emery's rules. So
and all I'm saying before we wrap up this little segment is my boss loves to manage a certain way and I do things and adhere to the boss's strategy and overall goals. But when I'm talking to my team about projects, I'm inspiring them in certain ways.
But
that
only
will
if your
help.
but only if your boss will allow you to do that.
Whether my boss knows it or not, that is what I'm doing in my team meetings. That's my point.
Okay, but if someone went to her and said something, and she said, Sophie, I don't want you to do that anymore, you don't do it anymore. So there is that as well. Anyway.
Amanda, let me just add this. So what you're saying is Steve Bolt could go to the players and tell them what he thinks and how they should defend. And then when it comes to the Saturday, like when it comes to the Chelsea game, and they don't do what Emery wants, or something goes wrong, what do you reckon the players are going to do? They're going to turn to the manager and say, well, Boldy said I should do it that way.
No, I'm not saying that. I think Sophie...
No, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
So it's the manager is the one who sets the game.
Yes, and now
Fair
we
enough,
have... Sorry, Gum.
Fair enough, you can either adhere to it or you don't adhere to it. And Steve Bold is a systems man. He's going to adhere to what the manager wants.
So when we had the best back four, and when it was Theo Foley, did he adhere to what George Graham wanted?
Of course.
Right. So this is my point. Right. So this is my point. We need to give Bold a chance now. Okay. But if in 2 years' time we are still shocking, he has to go. I'm sorry.
Yes.
He has to. And actually, not 2 years, 1 season I'm giving him, because I've had enough. Honestly, yesterday, that first goal, Kevin, it was like, I could have scored it.
Yeah, but is that down to the system, or is it down to the players?
It's probably down to both.
6-1 and half a dozen of the other, which is my quote of the show.
No, but it isn't. Because even look at the second goal that Morata scored.
But we were too far high up the pitch. I mean, Mustafi was playing him well onside. They were in the Chelsea half. We were too far up the pitch.
Yeah, but defending 101 is this.
Yeah, but Mustafi at that point was exposed, Kev. I mean, he was going to either win that or not.
If you let me speak, then you'll understand what I'm saying.
Okay, fine, you can speak.
Because there is no pressure on the ball, you cannot hold a high line. You have to drop off to be able to see the striker and the ball. Mustafi didn't know where Morata was when the ball got played. And once the ball gets played, you're in trouble. All right? So, therefore, is it the system or is it the players? It's the players that are not implementing the system properly.
Today, when United lost and got spanked by Brighton, was it the system or the players? Was it Mourinho's system or was it the players?
No, it's the players.
Really?
Not necessarily.
They're being asked to play boring, defensive football over and over again. Is it really the players' fault? Or is it Mourinho's tactics fault? Because in the second half against Chelsea, I felt Emery went a little bit too safe. And I think it was a little bit of a mix of his tactics as well as player performance. He was going for the point. He didn't want to lose.
No chance.
And it backfired on us.
No chance. We lost momentum because half time came.
Yeah, that definitely happened.
That's not why we performed badly in the second half. We changed our tactics. We didn't. We sat back much more, Kev. We did. We
didn't change the tactic. Chelsea adjusted to what was going on with us.
Yeah. Right. Listen, you two, it's fantastic. Okay. And we will need to carry this on next week. And I get what both of you are saying, although, Kev, I do feel a little bit that I just want, like Stove, I just want us to stop conceding stupid fucking goals.
I think we all do.
We do, but then, when it was Wenger and Bold for years, who are you blaming? Wenger, Bold, or the team? I mean, what is...
because, Amanda, look, they never worked at the defence.
Then what was he doing there? What was he doing?
They never worked at anything, we're finding out.
Right, they never worked at it. But now they're working at it, which is the point. So once you start putting these things in, and the team are not doing what the manager wants, the manager will make changes because you can only go with people so much. If they're making the same mistake over and over again and not learning, you have to get them out.
Yeah.
That's the difference with Emery, right? We're seeing that mistake. We're trying, we're learning, we're trying to coach up and move on. They've never, ever had that before.
No.
That I agree with Kev. And I love that Kev and I are disagreeing this week because last week we were way too much on the same page.
You
That's
were.
right.
And I want to pick you up on something that you said because you misrepresented me. And I'm going to say it. When we did the first pod, you said grade from A to Z the transfer dealings, which I did. I gave it an F, and I'm still at an F. Then last week, you proceeded to say about pre-season and the game, and I'm like, no. What we said was
that me or Kev? Because I'm
probably
No, but the transfer
Kev.
dealing was pre-season.
It was pre-season.
No. Hold on a second. I'm telling you the reason I gave it an F because the defence is shocking. 2 games in this defence are still shocking. That's my point. But you both gave it like a B or a C or whatever. We have to wait and see on that. But anyway, we've got to move on because I've got one more question.
Right, you got one more question? Because then we've got to do predictions and get the hell out of here. I've got to go to the ocean.
Oh,
thanks.
Excuse me.
Right for some.
I haven't got to go to the ocean.
Seriously. Yeah.
Right. Anyway.
Billy Ocean.
Billy.
Yeah, when the going gets tough.
Oh, no, please don't start her off,
Caribbean
Kev.
Queen. Should we sing?
Yeah, that's the tune.
No. Anyway, moving on swiftly because we're a professional football podcast. Mr. DJ at Expat Gooner. He had 2 questions, one for Billy, but obviously Billy's gone. So number 2, what are the panellists' thoughts on the silence around the Aaron Ramsey contract situation? Kev, just quickly, do you think he's going to sign or is he going to go?
For me, he's going.
So he's going now by the end of the August, yeah?
No, I just think he's going to run his contract now.
Oh, great. Soph?
I agree with Kev. I think he's either going to go. I don't think we're going to let him go now. He could go in January, so we can maximise some dollars out of him. But the truth is, no one's coming for him, people. Otherwise, he would have been gone already.
Okay. Prediction time.
Here we go. All right. Let's get this. We're going to skip grades. We're running way low on time. It's been a fantastic episode 3, I must say, my fellow Gooners. We got West Ham next. This is a must win against a very poor Pellegrini team that has promised everything before the season kicked off. They've spent a shit ton of money, but they're still shit. Okay. So with that said, West Ham, what is your prediction? Let's start with you, Mr. Super Kevin Campbell.
I think there's going to be goals. I think the way we played against Chelsea for that 20-minute spell would have blown many teams away. And the way West Ham are defending at the moment, I could see there'd be quite a few goals. So I'm going to go with a convincing 4-1 win.
Woo! Princess Gooner, what do you say?
Well, I predicted a loss against... I predicted we wouldn't lose against City, and I predicted that we would lose Saturday against Chelsea.
Are you proud of that prediction?
No, because I really thought we wouldn't lose to City, to be honest.
You said we were going to draw against Chelsea.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't. I said we'd lose 2-1.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
It was
you
a
said
draw.
2-2.
There you go.
Did I?
See?
I think so.
You see?
I didn't. I said we were going to lose.
Maybe
I didn't. I said we would.
City.
Yeah, I said 2-2 City, and we were going to lose 2-1 at the Bridge. So, Kevin, I'll wait the apology right now.
Listen, you listened to the last pod where you came on. You said a draw.
Kevin, when I prove to you that I'm right, and I will do, you'll go on Twitter and you'll go, Princess Gooner is right.
And I'll give you, and I'll send you a green tea.
Where's the bell when you
get a green tea?
Where's that bill? Green tea. Don't even make me a green tea. You moan about it every morning.
Not anymore.
Anyway, back to the predictions, because I know exactly what I said on my voicemail to Sophie. I was going to lose 2-1 on Saturday. We are going to win. I would probably go roughly with Kev 4-1, 3-1. I do feel that the season starts, and I do feel that Aubameyang will get a quick goal. I do. So, all right, I'll give you a prediction.
Well
Let
done,
me say,
Mystic Man.
Right,
3-1.
3-1.
3-1 from Mystic Man. Super Kev says 4-1. And Sostradamus looks into her crystal football and predicts a 5-2 win for the Gunners with an Aubameyang hat-trick. All right? Stick that in your pipe and smoke it, people. All right, it's the Highbury Squad final whistle here, and here is where I'm going to leave things with my gang, with my squad. We have 6 games coming up that are all winnable. This will change the game for the Gunners. 2 hard starts, but we've got some juicy games coming up. Just like Manchester City, who are playing promoted teams over the last 2 years in their first 6 games. We've got West Ham, Cardiff, Newcastle, Everton, Fulham, Watford, Leicester. I say the toughest game in that fixture is Mr. Super Kev's former team, the Toffees, Everton, who are riding high right now. It'll be tough to stop Richarlison. But guys, I'm going to get you out on this 10 seconds each. How many of those games can we win? Do you not think this is the difference maker in our season in these first, this next phase of games coming up for the Gunners?
Arsenal could win them all. Of course they can. Will they win them all? I don't know as we're going through transition. So I think the majority of the games Arsenal will win.
Mystic Man?
I think we're going to win them all.
Listen to you.
I do. I think what I saw yesterday has given me a lot of hope. He didn't against City, but that was a weird game. But I do believe that we're getting there. We're going to get there. And I'm proud of them. And I haven't said that for a long time. So I was proud that they got back to 2-2. Unfortunately, it was a mistake by Lacazette in midfield. And then that was it. But you know what? We'll start on Saturday.
Poor Lacazette, Amanda, hitting Lacazette hard.
I love
here we
Lacazette.
Go. I am proud of the Highbury squad. Super Kev put in another great performance, scored a couple beautiful volleys. Mystic Mand over there smashing it in the back of the net as well. We love you guys. Thanks for listening. Keep listening. Thank you, Mr. Billy Beane. He's going to come back on the show and do a nice full hour for us in the coming months. Hopefully after the Oakland A's have won the World Series. We'll see you next week, hopefully after a victory against West Ham. In the meantime, Amanda, tell everyone the word.
Always Arsenal.
Lose 2-1. I'm really sorry to be negative, but I'm always honest with my predictions. I thought we were going to draw 2-2 last week.
There we go.
We should play that at the end.
2-1,
Maybe
loss.
The season will start after these 2 horrible games.
Thank you, Kevin. I look forward to that. I was wrong.
You get a green tea, love.
You're such a typical bloke, you are, honestly.
I love it.
No. I'm going to bring...
You won't get I'm wrong, so you get a green tea.